I'm excited to introduce PiRaspberry. PiRaspberry is a utility that I developed initially to help me back up and restore my PiRaspberry SD cards. I also included the functionality to set up the SD card initially using image, Raspbian image, or any of the other distros, whatever distro you would like. I found that I liked to back up my SD card at different stages of a project, just in case anything went wrong. So for my PiRobot project, after pretty much every day I would try to back it up, because that day I would do some work on it and then leave it alone, and then the next day, or 2 days from now, I'd be able to work on it again. So I wanted to find a way to back it up and restore it without having to type in the command every single night and dealing all with that. So I created this nice little GUI called PiBerry, and when you first load it up, you're asked what you want to do. You get 3 options. I've tested it on multiple SD cards, multiple class SD cards, multiple brand SD cards, multiple sizes of the SD cards, physical sizes, micro and standard. I've also tested the backing up and the restoring functionality on USB thumb drives, and everything seems to work. So if you really wanted to use this to back up either, say, a USB thumb drive or an external image, you can do so as well. So let me show you how. And basically every step is essentially the same. You're basically asked the same exact steps throughout the whole process, except some variance based on, for restore, obviously it's going to say what file, and for saving a backup, it's going to say what folder. So there's difference in that, but essentially you're getting asked the same exact questions. So if I hit backup, the first thing it's going to ask, do I want to see a list of disks that are mounted to the computer? I always say yes. You can hit no and it'll just skip by it, but if you hit yes, what it does is it shows you what disk 0, and then the partitions and the names and the size, and what partitions are associated to that disk, and then it shows you the next one, so just 2, and then the same thing, partitions, and shows you basically for the next step what you're working with. So if I hit next, it's going to ask me what disk do I want to back up. Right here, and actually this next step, as I said before, this is the alpha version of the software. I'm working on a beta version right now that I should hopefully have done within a month, but I'll show you a little demo later on. But one of the things that I'm going to change in that for sure is the ability to even use your system disk. So right here, I could have the ability to back up my system disk and restore my system disk, but obviously I wouldn't want to do that, or you wouldn't want to do it either. So if I hit disk 2 and hit next, so now it's going to tell me to choose a folder location. Currently, it takes the date and time and adds backup in front of it, and it creates a custom name. You can't, or a dynamic name. You can't create a custom one. So you see here, I'll have an image, and then I have a zip as well, and these were automatically generated at this, at this date and time. In the next version, I'm going to allow you to choose the actual name that you want to save it as. The reason why I did this is because initially I was having issues with a space in the name of the file or the folder that it was stored in. So for instance, right now everything's stored in all backups, but prior to actually yesterday, if I selected this and chose it, it wouldn't allow me. It would allow me, but it would end up failing because there's a space in the name. So I fixed that yesterday before I actually released it to the public. So if you hit choose, so now it's going to ask you what type of backup do you want to create. So you have the option of standard or compressed or quit, to quit the process. But standard, as you can see, this is image of an 8 gig and you have 8.15 gigs, and that's from my 8 gig SD card. This is the exact same backup but compressed, and you can see it's much less. It also takes a lot longer to run either the backup or the restore. Honestly, if it was me and I was restoring from a zipped file, I would extract the file and you will get this image file, and then I would restore from the image because it'll actually run much faster doing it in 2 different steps. I don't do this, or I don't have it coded to do this because of storage space. So if I were to do this, you would have to have an additional 8 gigs on your computer hard drive, whereas right now it's coded, it just does it on the fly. So as it's uncompressing it, it puts it onto the image, or as it's uncompressing it, it puts it onto the SD card. So it takes a substantially longer time, but it saves you a lot of space in the end if you're constantly backing up, or at least saving those backups. So if you hit standard, doesn't really matter. This is the second to last option actually. Here I display everything that you're going to be doing. So you're going to be backing up this disk, you're going to be backing up to this folder, and this is the name of it. And then it says, warning, you can continue after verifying the information of blah 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 blah. I verified all the information is correct. I did this. It's kind of scary or whatever, but I did this just because I have the ability to select my system disk. So in the next version, the whole GUI is going to be different. I'll show you guys a demo after, but this is probably won't be so scary or whatever. So once you have verified, it actually asks you for your root password or your admin password. So I type my password, and now it's going, and you can see it's created the file, and it'll start dropping the file there. Right now I'm using a really old 256 megabyte SD card or USB thumb drive, so it really shouldn't take too long to back up. But here's the problem with this current alpha version, and this is the reason, or the main thing that I'm going to update, is you don't know the process of it. So you can see that it's still open, but you can't tell what percentage it's at, or really if it's running, or when it's done. The only way to know when it's done is the application will actually quit, just like that. So it quit. We've got a 261 megabyte file, and the process is complete. I don't really feel that's that great of a GUI or user functionality. So I have developed an actual GUI to encompass the whole all the questions within one window versus multiple pop-ups and then nothing happening. So if you take a look at this, I can run it really quickly. Oh, I already double hit it. So this will be essentially the GUI, and this won't be rotating until you actually hit start, and then this will be a progress bar essentially. So you'll have all the same options, except you will not have your system disk in here, and you'll be able to select the actual file name you want to save it as, whatever it is, and then here, this isn't a progress bar as far as percentage. It's just will spin and tell you that it's running. But now that I have this spinning, I'm going to switch this to a percentage, so you can see basically an estimate about where you are along in the process. Because if you're backing up a 32 gig SD card and you're using gzip to compress it, it's going to take a little while, so you might want to see the progress of it. But currently I'm not finished with it, so this will actually be stopped right there, and then once you hit start, it'll start spinning this, and this will go along with the process. So that's pretty much it. So if you like what you see, or if you have any questions, or you notice any bugs, post a comment below, or check out my website and post a comment through there. You could also like me on Facebook to follow my other projects and the Pi Robot project, as well as my music or anything that I do creatively. I kind of post onto there. So the site's rebzoid.com, and hope you guys use my utility. Thanks. Bye.